Alrighty guys, today I'm going to be explaining some basic fundamentals of the Ford Excursion / Super Duty. This happens to be a 2001 Ford Excursion with the 6.8 liter V10, and a while ago it was having idling issues / surging issues. Now basically what happens is there's a crankcase vent hose on the throttle body, and it starts to get, starts to deteriorate and crack, and that starts to have major vacuum leaks. So what happened is the truck would start up and idle fine, but as soon as you drop it into a gear, it would stall out. And let's say you're driving down the road fine and you let off the throttle, the vehicle would stall out. So basically I'm going to show you how I replace the part for cheap, and basically some preventative maintenance. Now this does have a replaced motor. The truck only has 135,000 miles on it, but it does have a new Jasper V10 in it. Still pretty dirty in here from dust, but it is a brand new motor. So what I did here, it isn't the prettiest thing at all, but I just took some 3/8 fuel line and spliced it down with a new piece of fuel line down to the valve cover T. Now, basically what I did was I used a thicker fuel line that could withstand heat, could withstand pressure, stuff like that, instead of the really thin line that this truck came with. And basically it was connected there. It was a little 90 and it had a really big crack on it, and it was actually preventing this thing from idling and letting me drive it to work. So I went ahead, did that. Another few things is the stupid Ford battery connections on this that are like, they crack, break off, stuff like that. So what you're going to want to do is, as soon as you buy this thing, well, you don't have to do it as soon as you buy it, but just be prepared that when you're swapping new batteries in, I just put this new Optima in her. And I went ahead and bought some good battery connections, redid the battery connections. So now I have good terminal ends. I'll slide this back in here really quick. There we go. That aren't going to break for a while, and they're really cheap to do. All you got to do is resplice the wires and stuff like that. It's really simple to do. Another thing is this model motor, same with the 4.6s and the V10, like the 5.4s and the V10s. This, basically what happens is the spark plugs tend to loosen up and shoot out of the motor. And if they do that, they'll damage the thread, so you can't actually put a spark plug back in there. So what I did when I bought this thing is I pulled all 10 coils, went ahead, tightened down every spark plug, and went ahead and put the coils back in. The new spark plugs have already been copper coated, which is like it just prevents them from loosening up over time. So and if you torque them to the new torque rating, which I believe is 21 foot-pounds, the original was 17 or 18 foot-pounds, so I went ahead and retorqued to 21 and threw all the coils back in, tightened down the boots, everything like that. So after doing that, copper coating the plugs, adjusting them to the correct torque, and changing the crankcase vent hose, stuff like that, I now have a V10 that is taken care of, basically. The only other issues is the intake manifold gasket leaking, but you don't have to worry about that. This is a brand new motor, brand new gaskets and everything, so don't have to worry about that for a solid long time. Now if the intake gasket on your V10 or 5.4, 4.6, etc. starts to leak, it could potentially leak into the spark plug hole, shorting out the coil and causing an engine misfire. That's basically how you can tell that your intake gasket's leaking. The only way to fix that is you got to pull it off, replace gasket, and so on. But at that point you should take it to a professional shop so they could do it good. Unless you are a mechanic yourself, which I am, but I've had a lot of issues with pulling these intakes off where the bolts would actually break off from corrosion and stuff like that. So you got to be very careful if you are working with these things, because a lot of the bolts are metric, are very small in diameter, and will tend to break. So you just got to take your time with it and make sure you have all your service information handy so you could look at torque specs and stuff like that. But also the preventative maintenance thing, all these hoses that go into the intake, air intake, and all that stuff, I went ahead and put hose clamps on every single one because they tend to loosen up from heat, and I just didn't want to have to deal with a vacuum leak again. So take all your rubber lines, pull them off, clean them, check them for cracks. Go ahead and put hose clamps on them, do whatever. And I cleaned out the throttle body because that builds up a sludge over time. So you got your hoses, throttle body, check your mass airflow. Some models do have the mass airflow, mine doesn't. Just go ahead and check all that stuff. Get rid of get everything done with preventative maintenance. Next thing is, if you look inside here, let me get my light on. I haven't done it yet. See where the air intake galley is? Not galley, but the opening is. See the tube? There's actually isn't a lot of flow of air coming through there. This plastic piece in there is actually blocking a lot of airflow. That hole right there is your actual airflow for your intake. So I've seen a video where somebody had taken, just a whole saw and cut a hole right there to allow more airflow into the engine. That's good. I would recommend doing that because it increases fuel efficiency and could potentially increase engine power. So that's a few things that I've done to help my V10 run better. Just trying to help you guys out there if you guys got the same issue going on. And if you have any questions, just put it down in the comments. And I'll see you guys in the next video.